Dude, I gotta go out and get something to eat. I'm literally, I can't do anything. You wanna come with? You good? You can eat? All right, nice. Let's go grab something. I can eat. Something you've heard, something you've said. Of course you can eat. But are you really hungry? You're not hungry. You're just preconditioned to eat. What's that even mean? Stay tuned. What is happening? What is up? What is good? Kevin from Lift and Balance back again, and I am super pumped because just in today, actually a couple hours ago, my super snazzy blue light filtering glasses that are conveniently causing a glare up into the light and then back into the glasses and back into the camera for all you guys to see. All right, maybe I'll take them off. But if I can't go to sleep tonight, that is on you. All right, so there we go. To the topic of the day, hunger. If you're hungry, you should definitely be watching this. I'm not gonna say don't watch this, I'm saying definitely watch this. Don't go and eat, don't snack. Watch this first and then figure it out. Now I wanna tell you about a crazy guy and his dogs back in the 1800s. All right, he wasn't that crazy, he was a scientist. And he was doing an experiment on preconditioning. And basically the gist of the experiment was he had a bunch of dogs. And every time it was feeding time, he'd ring a little bell. And the dogs would come and they would eat. And then we would repeat. And then one of the key variables was removed. What was that? There wasn't the bell. I mean, it was the food. So from there on out, he would ring the bell, the dogs would come sprinting in, and they'd be sitting there, and they'd start drooling. And just like that, using our favorite four-legged furry friends, not cats, was a simple and highly effective demonstration of preconditioning. More importantly, preconditioning when one of the variables is food. So why the hell does this even matter? Well, let's talk about hunger. Typically when we're hungry, we eat. And I'd say that it's a pretty good strategy to continue. Why? Well, food happens to be one of our main sources of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, as well as provider of that oh so important energy of life, glucose. Now where this comes full circle is focusing on the when you are hungry statement. And this brings us to the main question of this video. Do we eat because we're truly hungry? Or are we hungry because we've been preconditioned to eat? Yeah. And what I'm trying to get to in the nicest way possible is that here in the Western world, we've got a lot of bells ringing and a lot of humans drooling. All the time. It's a metaphor.
Really, the only word for it is...
I want you to stop and think about how you may associate specific times of the day or specific events with eating. I mean, it's almost hard to pick an event that doesn't have to do with eating. A typical day may consist of eating breakfast, a few snacks in the morning, maybe a big lunch, a few snacks in the afternoon, maybe a donut and a coffee. Yet still, somehow, by the time dinner rolls around, we are feeling the hunger sensation stronger than ever. And I'd argue for most that it's not truly because you're hungry. It's simply because it's dinner time. But it happens in way more scenarios. Think of when you go to the movies or modern day, switch on Netflix. Right when you hit play or in that preparation to hit play, a sudden craving for a movie snack turns into an uncontrollable sensation. Same thing goes with going to the ballpark and needing a hot dog, watching football and feasting on wings. And everyone has their favorite comfort food when stress just beats the crap out of them that day. What I'm getting to here is all this hunger is not driven by true hunger, but with the association of a neutral stimuli that has been conditioned over time to eating. So we are just a bunch of humans drooling all over the place. Oh, makes sense. And when you dig into some of the scientific data, you find some interesting information about the hormones that regulate our hunger and our satiety. Ghrelin is one of the main hormones that is associated with an increase in hunger. As its levels throughout your body start to rise, so does your urge to eat. Leptin, on the other hand, is a hormone that is associated with satiety. And when levels of leptin are high in your body, that tells your brain to switch off the reward for stuffing your face and that you are good for now. So these two hunger regulators work to signal the brain and tell us when it's time to chow down and when it's time to put down the fork. although that last part always seems to be a little bit difficult. So interestingly enough, research has shown that if you do not eat, you will not have the sensation of hunger exponentially grow. In fact, the opposite seems to be true. In one study, participants who did not eat and fasted for over 80 hours saw an initial rise in ghrelin, but only to see it subdue soon after and decrease over the next 3 days. Now, speaking from personal experience, after about 36 hours of a water-only fast for me, I typically lose the hunger sensation, or it decreases dramatically. Now, I've fasted quite a bit, so I'd say my body's a little more attuned and ready to move into that fat-burning state of ketosis during my fast. You can check out my plant-based keto experience up here. I'll also link to my prolonged fasting videos to give you a look on what 170 plus hours is like with no food, water only. Now, that's all interesting, but it is super important to note and reiterate that everybody's different. This video is really only for information's sake, to get you thinking differently about food. There is no perfect protocol for dealing with our overadulation with food. It's a unique situation every time, and that needs to be acknowledged up front. Hunger is natural. It's a biological tool that we've been equipped with to help us with our #1 goal, survival. We just happen to live in a bit more prosperous time than they did thousands of years ago. At least we're not all physically drooling when we see all this food around. We're drooling in our head, but not physically, well, sometimes. All right, most of us. So your relationship with food is gonna be one that you have your entire life. And there's a good chance that you, like me, may have had a bumpy ride thus far. It should be something that you enjoy, but also respect, for it has the power to alter our physiological and emotional state. And we all know what it does to our waistline. Listen, I enjoy my food more than anyone. I've lived my life with the finish my plate mentality, and oftentimes it's the finish my tray mentality. And to offset some of these shortcomings, I've begun to practice several fasting and gratitude protocols. What I'm doing is intermittent fasting every single night. I'm on an 18-6 schedule right now. That means that I'm fasting for 18 hours and I'm eating for 6 hours. Also, I found that taking a brief moment before each meal to acknowledge and be grateful for the food that is going to take me to Nourish Town, USA, has worked out pretty well. I'll leave you with this. Don't ignore hunger. Understand it. Know if you fill your belly with real whole foods, quantity and timing become less of a factor. Don't be afraid to switch up your schedule, try something new. I'm doing it all the time, and it is truly empowering to watch the personal progress from a change. Experience it. This is an area that deserves an investment. Just like, you know, I had to bring the glasses back to end it, right? Good eating.